Some women are simply born rich, confident, and naturally magnetic to their desires. Let's be clear, this podcast is not for them. However, if you're a soul-driven, visionary, or entrepreneurial woman who's been on a mission to learn how to create a better future bursting to come out of you, welcome to my world. I'm Jo Warwick, and this is Rich, Sexy, and Free. I've dedicated most of my career to helping women get to their core power and unlock the missing pieces for their own unique success. You may already know me as the author of The Big Book of Love. With 30 years experience in psychology, embodiment, manifesting, and energetics. Hi, Jo here, and I just wanted to jump on to tell you a little bit more about our guest today, Andreea Tamas. Now, Andreea is on a mission to help women prioritize themselves and create joyful, abundant lives without guilt. And you can imagine why I would be very drawn to inviting Andreea on Rich, Sexy, and Free. Now, Andreea's backstory is that she created Sacred Transitions, a legacy that she created in honor of her late life partner. And this episode goes really deep as we talk about shame, we talk about grief, we talk about alchemizing all those things into abundance. This was a very, very powerful episode for me. So I apologize if you see me melting into a puddle because the energy was so powerful between us as we talked about limiting emotions and bringing yourself into the light and the power of abundance and attraction and manifesting. So it was a delight to record, and it's even more a delight to share this with you. So I hope you enjoy finding out more about Andreea Tamas. And of course, you can find all of her links in all the show notes, but you can find her on Instagram at I am Andreea Tamas. As well as, of course, you can find me at Rich, Sexy and Free on Facebook, YouTube, and of course on every single platform for the podcast. Let's dive in. Hi, Andreea. I am so excited to have you here on Rich, Sexy and Free. We were just talking beforehand. You're currently in India, and you've just told me you've been traveling for 2 years. As a massive fan of traveling, I'm super yes. So I'd love you to share with the listeners about what led you to change your life in this way so that you are traveling and that led you into becoming a coach, because I know you have a very profound and beautiful backstory of kind of what led you there.
Yeah, hello and hi everyone. I'm so excited to be here and stay tuned for like a magical conversation. I just know a lot of beautiful things are going to flow here. So first, I would start with the coaching. What led me to coaching? I moved to the United States from Romania back in 2014. And just 1 year after that, I had my near-death experience where I was in a coma for 2 days in Las Vegas in a hospital. And for those that are in the United States, I also want you to know I had no medical insurance, which I was like screwed. I was like, how the heck am I going to pay my medical bill? But that's another story. After I had a near-death experience, everything changed for me. I didn't realize it at the beginning because I would say the first year or so, I was very much into shame, guilt, and just like in the lower vibrations that you can imagine. But something shifted after 1 year, and my perspective from, oh my God, I feel so shameful for almost dying because I took a substance. I was at a music festival and I took a substance for feeling the shame for that and for feeling so mad that I had to pay medical bills in like thousands and hundreds of thousands. I was like, whoa, I was actually given a second chance to life. And I valued money more than my life until this point. And then I started looking at it. I was like, wow, I think I was given a second chance to life because there is a purpose for me. So then I started searching, what is the purpose? And I became obsessed about it. And I was not in personal development. I've never had anyone in this world around me. And I literally just started with the book. I remember even now because I had that challenge with the money. I started with Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. I love that book. Yeah. And from there, I just took the next step and the next step until I found coaching. And I had no idea what coaching is and that it even exists outside the sports. And I was fascinated. I was like, wow, everyone needs to know about this because it transformed my life. And I was like, wow, I want to help others transform their lives as well.
That's such a powerful shift. And in that point, was there anything else in your life, your actual personal life and things that impacted you moving into coaching?
So it was mainly my awakening because I do know now, well, after many years of my awakening, we've been here that experience and that is satisfaction. I just felt so unhappy in my life. I was constantly chasing. I was like, when I'm gonna have that much money, when I'm gonna have that job, when I'm gonna move I don't know where, that's when I'm gonna be happy. So I was constantly postponing my happiness.
Yeah. Oh,
And
once.
also another reason why I was like, okay, I don't think it's really something about outside because I remember reaching the goal. Like I moved to the States. I remember I was able to save $100,000 in my bank account. That was like my goal. I was like, I have this money, but I feel exactly the same. Why is that?
Yeah. That is quite a dramatic wake up as well. And when you look at a bad thing, you can see the magic and the miracles of it. Just saying about the book made me think about the first book that led me on my reminder journey, because I was born very spiritually connected. I was doing astral traveling. I was seeing spirits and all that when I was a kid. I was very awake and very aware. And for me, my journey is about being human, not being sort of aligned with the spiritual. But I definitely headed off too much into the human. I started really enjoying the fun of money and playing and the material and all of that. The material without the soul is just empty. It's unfulfilling. It stops being fun. You end up like an empty hole you're trying to fill. And so I remember being given a book of The Alchemist, and it was like food for my soul. If you guys who are listening haven't read it, I would absolutely recommend it. It's The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. And it was like somebody was speaking to my soul. It's a very beautiful, gentle book. And everything about it resonated with me. And at that point, when I was given the book, I had just started training in Wing Chun and Kung Fu, which is Taoism in motion. And so everything about being in this flow and the flow of my body. And so it was like, here's this physical thing telling me, and then here's this book talking about being in the flow of life's miracles. And it was like, ding, 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 the little wake ups. And then I basically read my way through every single book. Wait, it was like I was hungry to my core. Oh, this is who I am. This is what I remember. This is where I'm meant to be. And then it took me off on a very dramatic shift from where I was to live in Cornwall. And it was like an absolute, but now you're going to go to the dark. You think, oh, this awakening is going to be like, and it's not. It's like, but I have to know when. Thing. My near death was a physical, not a physical like yours, because that had always been a kind of on the essence of my life. I'd always been like, oh, I just want to die. I want to go home. I don't like being here. I don't it's so weird. And so I was always on the edge of that. But mine was a man, and he came and he took me to feeling the shame, feeling bad, feeling rotten, feeling all the abuse stuff. It all kind of, he was just the perfect mirror. And it was like falling off a cliff. And so I really resonate with your journey. And when you look back, you can see it. You understand the awakening. If someone said to you, yeah, go to that awakening, you get to be in the abundant side, you'd be like, back off. What? Going through that. And yet, and I think this is what leads to the brilliant question. What changed about you? And in what do you think going through the hardship of that journey to prepare you for now, what shifted on the inside? What did you gain from that whole process to get you ready for living in abundance and in flow and in joy? And
Oh my God, what got me ready? I would say a lot of it was facing my demons, healing again, because I was numb almost for my whole life. After my mom left when I was 14 years old, the way I learned how to cope with situation was numbing myself. So I couldn't feel for almost the rest of my life. And then I went through this process after the awakening of getting in touch again with feeling. And once you open that Pandora box, oh my God, I've sworn that I think I had 1 year where I cried almost every single day. Because there was so many emotions stored in my body and suppressed that I would just start crying out of the sudden, and I didn't know why. And I remember my partner at that time, he looked at me, he's like, I don't know what type of work you are doing, but I don't think it's helping. You're crying every day. And I'm like, no, don't. This is army and working. So I would think really feeling and releasing what's not serving us anymore, but then being aware, like where do I place my focus on? Because the thoughts that we constantly repeat to ourselves create the emotions and then the actions and this beautiful flow pattern. But we need to become aware. So anyone can do it, but do you have the desire? Like where you place your focus on? And these were some big things that really helped me. And then eventually I was taken on this journey from pushing and working hard to connecting with my feminine energy. And that cracked me open to really connect with my heart. And when we are connected with our heart, it's when I would say we can truly connect with others and with the divine, and we can allow the abundance to flow through us.
Absolutely. I'm just going to have to say that I am now melting because the energy between us. So I apologize if you're watching this on YouTube and I turn into a puddle. The energy that's flowing between us in this moment and the conversation that we're having is strong. I am literally melting, which is glorious and wonderful. So I want sweaty mess. It's fine. I was thinking when you were saying that I had a memory, and I think it's so important that we talk about taking that shame out of the release. Like you, I was shut down. I've written about this. I was a blogger for like 8 years, and you can find me all over Tiny Buddha and all of the personal development sites where I talk about the awakening process. The first time when I started crying, it was because when I started training as a psychotherapist, and I hit the abuse the first time, and I had never dealt with it. Like you, at some point in my childhood, when mum nearly died, I didn't have the resources. I shut down. But I actually realized recently, I think the biggest one for me was because I was so awake when I was younger. I was told I wasn't allowed to go home, astral traveling and being with my spirit guides and all of that at the age of 13. And I stopped being able to see. And I felt abandoned by God. I felt like I'm now in this planet. I've got to be here, and I'm trying to deal with all the stuff of my mum being sick and abuse and bullying and all of that crap. And it was like I felt separated from God. And so I shut down. And that I can see now the process is all part of what it was meant to be. When I started on that journey, I described in my book, it's like once you open the door to love, the divine love, it just seeps in. So once it gets in, it's like, hello, I'm in now. And it starts to melt you. And it does feel like melting because all of those walls that we create is just blocked energy. It's literally just barriers of energy that are just hardened. But then they're just like ice. And once the love energy starts coming in, it's warmer and it's hotter. The melting process, that softening that happens, of course, it's the feminine. I remember that literally being on my knees and sobbing and it being a process of hearing this, almost this animal, literally just animalistic crying. And when I got to the point, I could just observe that my poor body was going, I am wounded. I have been storing all of this pain in my body. And I had it given me IBS, I ulcer in my stomach. At that point, I was so crippled. I couldn't walk. I was so full of this shame and this pain. I just like the Little Mermaid, and I had like knives in my feet. Like it was so crippling. Every time I just released, I felt better. I felt like I wasn't constipated anymore. And it was like, I would start to feel this lightening and this, I feel better. I feel better. Unfortunately, it takes a while when you've got that much of a backlog. It does take a while. It takes time, and it doesn't have to be as traumatic as that, as I'm sure with your clients as with mine. Their process is way faster. So I'd love to know from your space of that journey, how has it made you a better teacher? and guide to your clients?
I'm able to relate to my clients now at whatever level they're at. I've been through so much hardship throughout my life. And I went through being now. I went through having death. I went through having heartbreak. I went through all of these things. So I'm able to relate to them from the embodiment. It's not just something I've heard read in the books or I've learned. Yes, of course, I have tons of certifications from the feeling of not feeling good enough. Are you not? But not yet. But also the most powerful work that I have with my clients, it comes from my own experience, from my embodiment, and for the connection I have, I would say, with myself and with the divine, with the intuition. Because when I'm with my client, I'm able to tap into their energy, having what is it that they need and feel that. So I'm going like from not from my mind, but really from my heart, from my body. And I constantly make this intention when I connect with my clients that's my highest self connect with their highest self. And these connections to come through but for the best and what is aligned to happen during that session. So it comes the surrendering, which I have also learned in my process of traveling, because during my traveling, the mantra I told myself the whole time was I trust and surrender. I trust and surrender because I used to control a lot.
I remember traveling and seeing this blind couple. They were both blind and they were traveling around the world. Why do I have any doubt of trust? If these people can do this walking around with no sight, and everything about them is about trusting each other, trusting their souls, trusting their intuition, trusting the people around them. If you've experienced any form of an unsafe childhood or any form of trauma or rape or any of those things, you become like an animal who's like wide-eyed. I've got to look, I've got to control by seeing instead of trusting your instinct, which unfortunately for so many people has got confused because of they haven't had that opportunity to trust their body that tells them that we're animals, that tells them that's dangerous, don't walk towards that. Whereas if you've experienced them for any form of abuse or trauma where you felt unsafe as the good girl, the good boy, you got neglected, all of those things, it gets rewired because you can't, that your childhood was not what it was supposed to be. So you fitted in with your family. And so you go, my body's telling me that's dangerous. That's where I meant to go. It's like, what? See, into the darkness, into the pain. And they're like, oh, I'm doing it again. But once you get that clarity and you start listening to your soul and you start trusting it and it gets louder and you hear it, because most people go, I can't hear it. It's because it's quiet. It's not. It's like you have to go in, don't you? You have to go in and you've got to listen and you've got to be, it's so gentle and it's so soft. But once it becomes so integrated, it's like, oh, I should go and do that. Oh, I'll go there. Or I don't have to ask for directions because I'm automatically doing it. This podcast is called Rich, Sexy and Free. For a lot of spiritual women, money has been a strange relationship. And you mentioned at the beginning that you were very much driven by money. And money was where you could control. It was a place of safety before your divine intervention. Happiness. It was a place that you controlled in its hard and cold state. I'm curious to know, how has your relationship with money changed?
Oh my God. I went through so many like ups and downs with money from moving to the States. I moved to the United States with $2,000 in my pocket to working super hard. I worked two jobs in the restaurant industry for 4 years. And I was able to save money, like $100,000. I remember even now, like in my bank account, that I was just driven by, as you said, money as a safety mechanism. And I remember having this want of, I want to be independent. I will never depend on a man. Really, money. Because I came out from a society and within my family, my dad was the one that was holding all the money, even though my mom was working as well. So they always have to ask money from them. And they always had fights about money. So I grew up with a very bad image about money. My belief was money create fights and create fights in family. And then that's exactly what I recreated in my previous relationship where me and my partner would constantly fight about money. So I was taken to this like really surrender around money too, because I had such a hard time receiving whatever it is that I was creating in my job. I couldn't receive. I was blocked. And then it happened that my life partner at that time, he got diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. And we were faced in this situation where like, wow, we really, it's not a time to do it alone. And I'm not just talking only about money, but like all area, mentally, emotionally. So that was the time when I started opening to receive. I started opening to receive help from friends. Then our friends also raised money because we went and did all kind of treatments in Mexico. So I started that process of I can receive, I can feel good about receiving. It's okay to receive. And then after my partner transitioned on the other side, I found myself like having to take care of everything. And there I was like, what am I gonna do? How am I gonna take care of myself? And I was brought to my knees to trust and surrender once again. And I said, I'm gonna start traveling the world as my healing journey. And like, I don't know how. I don't know how I'm gonna have the money to do it. But I have such a big desire, and I know this is my path. This is what I have to do. So I'm just choosing to trust. And now my relationship with money is much softer. And I truly got to understand that the money, it's neither like good or bad. It just is. And it's there. It's an energy. And based on art, the meaning we give it and the power we give it.
Absolutely.
We can truly open up and build a beautiful relationship with money. And I highly encourage the listener to look at money as maybe even create an image, have a person, have a energy, have a vision about how money looks like for you, give it a name, and then start building a relationship with it. Every day to your money and tell it like, I love you. I love having you. I love being with you. I love going out with you.
I love that. You were saying, I was saying with vision, and it was interesting because it was opposite to everything I've ever done. So in my programs, I often talk about money being your best friend. What would you be like with your girlfriend, your best girlfriend? And how would that relationship be? Like you said, I never wanted to be controlled by a man. And I've been on a journey this year of so much of healing on a deeper level with God. If you'd asked me a year ago, I would have expected to have seen my being of money as a woman. But I didn't. As you were saying that, I saw the full man with dark hair. And he looked like the man in my vision I see over and over again when I'm in my 50s. This man. And as you described it, it made me think it's not the person. Maybe this idea that actually the money is that being. Like, it's like he's that embodiment of the masculine enemy of money is clicking into place to take me to the level that I want to be in, like different playing field of the 7 figures. So I thank you for that. And so it leads me to ask you, what did that shift in the energy of seeing that neutrality for yourself? What would you say has been the key maybe of your shift?
Yeah, so it was a big, big shift happened last year, almost exactly 1 year from now, when I was in Italy at my mom's place after a huge heartbreak. And I remember being in that room in my mom's place. I was feeling like this little girl, and I was like, here I am with the heartbreak. and being in debt and having no freaking clue of what's next for me. So I found myself in a rock bottom with love and with money. And I started watching a documentary. I remember I went to Gaia and I watched a documentary from Haiti Norton, something like that. And I was led to her book, my own love story. Yeah. Well, I was like, oh, they are also like relating. That's what I thought they were. So let me read this book. And that book like truly helped me like shift my relationship with money and then, which was huge because I was looking at that so bad and I was judging myself for getting myself in that thing. And then I remember her saying it in the book, just look on them as abundance for the value already received. I think that, oh my God, that's so true. All I did, I got the value for the money. I think I just haven't paid yet the money, but it's not with it because then the same as money, it's not good or bad. It's how we perceive it and the consciousness behind it. Absolutely. So shifting my relationship with debt, releasing that guilt once again around money and accepting where I'm at and like it's time to get my power back and take freaking responsibility for where I'm at. No one is gonna come and save me. No one is gonna do it for me. So was truly taking my power back and that I'm the only one that can shift it and that can do it. So the shift in the depth in how I do it. And then looking at money as like with so much more light and reminding myself that as long as I am alive, I can make as much money as I want. And this can shift any day. This can shift any moment, especially when you have a business, especially when you're an entrepreneur. Like this can shift from one day to another. So bringing that whole back and that, yes, that belief that things are shifting. Yes.
I love that. And that word hope. For a lot of people, hope does not flow through money. And the hope of change and expansion and abundance. This morning I woke up and I suddenly, to nowhere, felt this absolute feeling of potential. Everything is possible. Everything's available. Everything is new and fresh. Andrea, this leads us to something so beautiful because we've talked about shame a bit and we've talked about money. And I would like to know, what is something you've alchemized?
Yeah, I would say is around my words. I've placed my worth based on how much money I have in my bank account, based on if I am accepted by those around me, on these external factors. But I would say the last 2 years or so, it was a lot based on how much money I have in my bank account. And I realized that as long as I put my worth on that, I will never feel worthy because they're never enough. It's never going to feel enough because it's not about the digital numbers we see there in our bank account. It's truly an inside work on really getting to that knowing that I am worthy. I was born worthy. And I don't need to do anything in order to be worthy. Just by me being here, existing, breathing, sharing my energy with you and everyone else, I am more than enough and I am worthy. And then if I would say the biggest thing I've been able to alchemize, and I know that when I tap into this truth, and I show up like that into the world, I give others permission to remember who they truly are. Yes.
Absolutely. And it's just interestingly, I've been doing quite a few interviews for the podcast, and it's something I've heard a lot. But in fact, we are walking miracles. Our bodies are fucking miracles. Walking miracles that science still cannot even comprehend. We probably know about 10% of the capacity of our bodies and even less about the capacity of our brains. We are walking miracles of evolution, spiritual beings having a human experience. We're here to be human, and all that good stuff about being human. We never judge when we feel joy. We never ever think we're unworthy when we feel joy and love. And no, life is great. But as soon as life isn't going the way that we want it to be, as soon as the lover leaves, the marriage breaks down, or we haven't got the money that we want, as soon as we program ourselves to go, oh, yes, I must be unworthy. I must be bad. I must be not good enough. And maybe if I just worked harder and got more money, or maybe if I just worked harder at this marriage, or maybe if I just worked harder at having more friends or whatever. But the truth is, if we accept that being human is just fucking brilliant, being alive is amazing, then we take the power out of seeing the unworthy, don't we? And the shame that we started today talking about, the releasing and the grieving, is just shedding. It's like letting old clothes go, of going, all of that alchemizing is just going, oh, I just let the old crap leave my body, because the body knows what to do. You and I both know that. The power of alchemizing through your mind, your body, and your energy blows my mind. The miracles that you see, it shows you over and over again just how amazing the body is. You can't be all of that without the body. So we can make peace with the body. It's a big liberation, aren't we?
Yeah, and I really want to bring some awareness to is we were talking about emotions, shame, guilt, grieving, and so on, which I have experienced a lot, especially the last few years. It's just, it, oh my God, this huge roller coaster. And when we have learned going through these super intense emotions, is that there is value in them as well. Because when we allow ourselves to feel them instead of avoiding them and masking them and suppressing them and so on, when you allow yourself to feel them, that's when you release. And you don't just feel the grief and the shame and the guilt and so on, but that's when you are also able to tap into higher emotions. Once you feel the lower emotion, which they are not bad, they're just the lower vibration emotions, and you release them, then you create a space and you tap into joy and abundance and bliss and like where you feel on top of the world. And at the same time, you can access both at once.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yes. This is what I've experienced. Like, I saw the biggest thing, the biggest grief I've ever felt when my life partner passed. And then I've also felt the most connection and love and purpose. It was just like even hard to explain in words, but I was like, wow. And I remember him telling me before the transition, probably just 2 days before, he was like, wow, I have been really reflecting what this life is about. And it's nothing about what we think it is. And I was like, but tell me, what is the boundary? And he didn't want to share what it is because probably he knew I have to be on my own journey and discover that I'm on my own. But he truly taught me in the last few moments where I feel so honored to witness that, even though it was the hardest thing, but to witness it and be next to him in those moments. He taught me that our purpose here on earth is truly to even receive love.
It's just everything. It is everything. You made me think of you talked about the depth of the cup, because your life will only ever be as rich and full if you can allow the depth of pain to the depth of joy. Then you will be fully open to the rich and expansive feelings of love. This has been such an interesting and potent and rich conversation. It's been a delight. Thank you so much for being here. Is there anything you want to share with our listeners about where they can find you?
Yes, I'm maybe signing hi on Instagram, and you'll find the link in the show notes. And I also have a podcast. It's called Spiritual Changemakers. And that's where I spend my most time, where I pour my heart and soul into the work that I'm doing. They can work with me one-on-one, and I also offer to.
Lovely. Okay. Thank you to you and to the divine, because definitely being present one vote, and I shall be reflecting on what I've gained from today. Before we round up today, I just want to let you know that I am hosting Abundance Activation and Healing Circle on 11/11. So on the 11th of November, to join me and a group of other women who deep dive, release, resolve, dissolve, and align and make the shift. It's been great to connect with you today, but before you leave, if you want to find out more about how I can help you personally, or check out any of my books, products, or coaching packages, just simply go ahead and visit richsexyandfree.com. And I look forward to seeing you next week on the podcast.